Good morning and welcome back to the Philadelphia Agenda program on this Sunday morning. I'm your host, Brad Siegel. Thanks for joining us this morning. My thanks to our guest in the first half hour of our program today. In the second half hour of our show, we're going to talk about a nonprofit organization that reaches out to the community in the South Jersey area and deals with special needs people over in that area and the programs that they offer. And the reason why we're bringing them in here this morning is because they've got an event coming up on the 21st of September where they're going to hand out a pretty prestigious award. And you may remember that we had Durand here in the studio earlier this year, and we had talked about this, about bringing them back to talk a little bit more about the Temple Grandin Award and what this is all about, and talk a little bit more about this year's recipient of that award. So that's what we're going to do here this morning. Let me introduce my guests in studio before we get into our discussion today. First of all, Ray Cristofoletti joins us on the program again. He comes to us as the Executive Director of Durand, Inc. Ray, good morning. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us again. We really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. And joining Ray in studio this morning is Tanya Fagans, and she is Director of Residential Services. Tanya, good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Thank you for joining us on the program as well. So for those who didn't hear our earlier program, and we focused a little bit last time on the foundation more so than the nonprofit itself. Ray, start us off. Tell us a little bit about the history of Durand, Inc., going back, the reason why it was started. Lead us up to where we are today.
Sure, glad to. Durand was started in 1972 by Dr. Durand Shulman. She saw a need for services for autistic children, and she established a school called the Sunny Day School. And she had a lot of foresight and vision. And she had come over from occupied France, and she was a psychiatrist with her own practice here in southern New Jersey. And the agency has just developed and grown into a multi-service agency over the years. It has residential day programs, group homes, a school, and respite services. And it's governed by a well-known community leaders, business leaders from the community, and educators. And we have about 150 staff, and we're in pretty much all the counties here in southern New Jersey, and we provide parents an option as they navigate services, and we work very closely with the state and families to ensure quality services.
So you talk about the community leaders; those are the ones who make up your board.
Yes,
and are heavily involved, I guess, many times with how the organization is run. Correct. Tell me a little bit about, because you just touched on it briefly. Tell me a little bit about the difficulty that families have many times in navigating the programs and the services that are out there for their special needs children.
Well, autism, comes in many stories, and it's very challenging, and parents can sense something's wrong early. They see their child may having a need for aloneness or sameness, and usually the first sign, arrives in a cloud. Mm-hmm. And parents will call us up in terms of how to access services, how to get into a private school, how to get state services. One of the big things is when a child turns 21, we call it over the cliff, when a Department of Education services are over, and now they have to go into a new system, which is not mandated. So families have many struggles economically, emotionally, and we have staff who are also family members of their own challenges, and they have a lot of expertise. So we get a lot of calls from family members and how to get services and to get good outcomes from their families.
From what I understand, and from some previous programs that we've done here on the Philadelphia Agenda, that it's that threshold of 21 years old that really creates the problems in society out there, because at that point there are a limited number, if very many programs out there to handle people that are 21 and older.
Right, and there's always a strong waiting list for residential, and for a family member to come to the conclusion that their loved one will be better off in a residential program is a long, hard decision, but really a good decision, but there's a strong waiting list to get into group homes. So there's a tremendous, demand for that. Day programs are easier to get into, and many families want to see their child potentially be vocationally employed. So we will try to do things in the community, starting at the school side. So autism, as you know, comes in all different sizes and challenges and behaviors. So one custom service doesn't fit one, and there's many different variations.
All different ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yes.
Tanya, how is that decision made by a family to determine whether or not a loved one of theirs needs to go into a residential program?
Well, as Ray mentioned, it's very, very challenging once they realize that their child needs some services because they experience some outbursts, they may experience some behaviors, they may experience things that they weren't necessarily used to for their child to have growing up. And then they reach out to our residential program and our residential side. We then, contact the state Division of Developmental Disabilities, and we coordinate with them to try to get their child into our residential program.
Okay. The original diagnosis that comes, and we talk about autism, I guess, because that's what we hear most about these days, are the various spectrums, the various autism spectrums that are out there, somewhere on the spectrum of autism. The initial diagnosis, though, does that usually come from the parents, or is there somebody else out there who looks at the child and says, you may want to have an evaluation? Are the parents many times too close to the situation to be able to make an objective decision?
Most of the time they are. Most of the time they don't really think there is something going on with their child. So a lot of times someone in the school system will reach out to the parent and let them know. And then from then, they will then get some, additional services. Well, they'll get some testing. But it's very hard for the parent to really acknowledge it. And most of the time it does come from an outside source.
A lot of times the parents may be in some sort of denial or something like that, and they really need that push to get them. When they make the call and they reach out to Durand, if they make the call to your organization, talk to us a little bit about what the evaluation process is like. I mean, how do you evaluate a prospective person in terms of determining what program might be appropriate for them at Durand?
Well, usually it'll start at the school system with the district.
In their public school or private, whatever school it is,
they'll
right?
make a determination that they need special services, and then a determination will be made, can the district provide that particular service, or would a private school better meet the needs of that child? So that tends to be a very traumatic moment for a family and district. So different districts have different levels of services depending on where you live. So that will be really their first interfaces with the district. And usually the pediatrician, I would say, would be, or family members would be two of the indicators that would be feeding back to the families that maybe something is not right here. And that's why you have a certain amount of denial or avoidance.
Is there an ongoing discussion, for lack of a better term, in your world of special needs between organizations like yours, like Durand, and programs that are out there similar to yours, and to school districts out there about whether it's the school district's responsibility to provide the programs for special needs kids, or whether it's nonprofit organizations like Durand and others that would then be responsible for those programs? Is that something that's ongoing?
Yeah, of course, that's a great question. And the school district and the parent make a decision, what would meet the needs of the child. Sometimes they're in agreement, and then sometimes they're not in agreement. But the private school system offers an option and can customize services for a family member. But they're obligated, if you're a special need child, to get services, educational services up to 21. So that can take many forms, and sometimes it can result in maybe conflicts, which you don't want to happen.
Sure, you want what's obviously best for the child
right.
In that case to determine. Are there hybrid situations where a child will be in the school system and in a program like Durand combined?
Usually we will have a child, and then we will try to get them back to the district. Our goal is to get them back to the district.
To get them back, to mainstream them.
To mainstream back into the district, yeah. And our school presently can hold about 60 children. So we're able to really customize the services for the families and for the children, and that's where our reputation really comes in.
Tanya, at what level, when the evaluation is done and it's the parents and Durand and you look at that evaluation, at what point, and again, as Ray said earlier, every case is different with autism, but are there certain thresholds where a residential program is more appropriate for someone?
Well, I would say yes. We have certain individuals who come to us that a residential program, because there is a lot of community involvement, there is a lot of dealing with specialists, and sometimes coming to a residential type program gives that flexibility that they wouldn't get at other places or wouldn't get in some type of other form. So if they come to our residential program, they have the flexibility. It's more like a home environment for them. And so for some of our individuals that come to us, their parents are looking for something that's similar to where they came from, similar to a home environment. And that's what we provide in our residential setting. And so sometimes that helps determine whether they come to us or they go somewhere else, depending on if they want that feel of still being home, because it will be a big shocker to someone to go and they're at a different type of setting that's very disconnected and not similar to what they're used to.
What would a typical day be like for somebody in the residential program?
Residential program, if they're living at one of our homes, they would get up and go to work every day. Because we want the best thing for them is to have the best quality of life. We want it to mirror everyday life for them. So they would go to a work setting or work program. They would come back. They would work on life skills. They would do community outings. They would go and do banking. They would get haircuts. They would go out in the community, assist with shopping. It would be like an everyday, like their home. And that's what we want to provide for them. We want it to be very similar to their home, just like everyone else.
Now, are they going out supervised?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a staff with them 24 hours. Someone's there around the clock to just ensure that they have the best quality of life.
And you say, and some of it done in a work setting.
Yes.
So do you set up the jobs for them?
Well, the Adult Training Services Program, which we have at Durand, which is our day program, and they're basically their work program that's set up by the day services. So we just allow them to go, but once they get there, their skills are assessed. We assess what they're able to do. We assess how much time they should be spent in the community, how much time should be spent in the program, what things they should work on. And once that assessment is done, that determines what they'll do during their work site.
So do you have partner organizations then that Durand works with that have those jobs?
Yes. We have some of our individuals work at your local Wawa. Some of our individuals work at ShopRite. Some of the local places in our area. But we try to go out and partner with as many places as possible to help ensure that our individuals get work.
And are the residential programs only for the ones that are older, 21 and older?
Right now, we have 5 homes, and right now all of our homes are made up of individuals that are 21 and over.
So they're
currently.
so they're in that program.
Yes.
They're the ones that are older. So and then Ray, during the day, the younger ones are in the school setting,
Yes.
and the other. Are there other programs also at Durand that they that they interact with in addition to the school?
No, but the school has a summer program so that we have a summer option also for families that want to take advantage of that.
How taxed are you by the numbers that we continue to see increase in terms of the numbers of people that are diagnosed with autism? And you and I probably spoke about this the last time you were here, that when I first started doing autism programs here many years ago, it was 1 in 150, and now we're down to, I think, 1 in 68 right now. So how is an organization like Durand taxed when we continue to see those numbers go up?
Well, the state's been pretty progressive about opening up day programs and giving nonprofits, funding to open day programs, which is a good step. But the numbers are absolutely increasing.
It's staggering.
It's staggering, and it keeps increasing all the time. So I think if you look at the CDC statistics, they were both in cost and numbers, you wouldn't believe it. But I would say where our development is in our day programs. We were able to open 2 day programs, and we're looking to open up another day program. Residential is a bigger need, but is a little more difficult and cumbersome to open that up, and the funding's a little harder to come to on that.
Are the numbers going up because we're getting better diagnoses?
Well, people say that, yeah.
Is that
yeah? People
that's
say
what you're hearing?
Yeah.
So, and do you see that with the kids that are in your program, in your school setting?
Well, Jersey has a really good delivery system for autism. So people do move. Some people do move into the state, and people are really good self-advocates in the state of New Jersey to get services. And the families really organize well together. They absolutely organize well together, and that's why we established the Temple Grandin Achievement Award to really educate families and have guest speakers come in like Temple last year. So we're always educating and trying to show best methods of how to work with the population.
Do these programs come at a cost to these families?
No. Federal law up to 21, you're covered by federal law, and then when you're over 21, it's not an entitlement service, but you can get it. But there's no real cost to them. Yeah.
Okay, so the money, and you said you do get. There is money. There's government money that you get, but there's also private funding as well, right? You also
we
solicit.
we run a variety of special events, and we depend on the altruistic community of business people and leaders in southern New Jersey to get unrestricted monies to provide those extra things for the program.
Has the community stepped up? Are people seeing that special needs area, autism, developmental disabilities, this area continues to grow, and organizations like Durand, Inc. Need the money to be able to continue to provide the programs? Yeah,
I think absolutely no question, because no matter who you speak to, everybody knows someone in their network or their family network that is subjected to someone being special needs. If you notice in your family, your friends, you'll have someone, and you'll identify. So people in the community, we have a wonderful reputation, and we're always looking to improve our services. But yes, the community recognizes the value of us and many other agencies also.
Right.
We're not the only agency doing this.
There's other ones.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Philadelphia Agenda. I'm your host, Brad Siegel. We're talking about Durand, Inc. here this morning, established back in 1972. It's a nonprofit organization with a long tradition of providing care and education resources to meet the needs of children and adults with special needs and their families living in South Jersey. Joining me on the program this morning, Ray Cristofoletti. He's the executive director. He is joined by Tanya Fagans, who is the director of residential services. And as I said at the top of the program, pretty much the main reason why we brought you in here this morning, not only to talk about Durand and also the programs and the residential programs, but you've got an event coming up on September 21st where you're going to hand out a pretty prestigious award at that event coming up at the Westin Hotel in Mount Laurel. Tell us a little bit about the Temple Grandin Award, and I guess start off by telling us a little bit about Temple Grandin.
Well, last year we were able to give a Temple Grandin an award, and she accepted, which we were really grateful and proud of. And she came out, and I think we sold 500 tickets in less than a week. And she was absolutely phenomenal at the event where she made a presentation. Family members really profited in the Q&A afterwards with her, and really no one left the facility. We had it at Burlington Community College at the auditorium. And she was just thrilled to come and get the award. And she had such a positive experience with us that she allowed us to use her name, the Dr. Temple Achievement Award, which we are using. And we put together a committee from our board, educators in the area, and we nominated this year Dr. Stephen Shore, who is also on the spectrum, a professor at Adelphi University, nationally and internationally known, and he's very big on sensory issues. Okay, one of his trademarks is he always wears a hat because it makes him feel comfortable, and he's going to talk about sensory issues with the population to family members. We had to move it to the Westin because the community college was not available, and we see this award being given out every year, and the committee meets to basically identify someone who is worthy of the award.
What has and Tanya, maybe I can throw this one to you. What has Dr. Shore brought to this community or the world of developmental disabilities that warrants the award? Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, I think that one of the things that is really great is he's on the spectrum, and we're trying to bring a lot of awareness to individuals with autism, making them aware of what autism is all about, making them aware of, everything that involves autism. And because he's on the spectrum and he has, has such a phenomenal way of letting everyone know that he's working, he's doing well, he's doing well in the community, he has done well. He's able to really speak on autism, and I think it will open up and broaden a lot of people's understanding of the autism spectrum.
So when we talk about this event coming up on the 21st, you are hoping, and what you're looking for are families in South Jersey that really want more education about autism, developmental disabilities in the spectrum, correct?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And again, he was nonverbal until the age of 4, and they were going to institutionalize him. And because of intensive care by his family, he wound up getting a PhD and becoming an expert in sensory issues. So as one of our people on the committee said, he's the male version of Temple Grandin.
It also really speaks to the importance of early intervention.
Yes.
It is what it sounds like. I know when you talk about cancer, when we do that on this program, they always talk about early detection is so important. It sounds like with developmental disabilities and autism that the earlier you intervene in this, the better off it's going to be for the child down the road.
No question in terms of outcome. Absolutely. So again, we are targeting families, and we're expecting a crowd of about 300 people.
Okay. And are there still tickets? Can people still call up or go online to get tickets to this?
You could still get tickets. Everybody just got back from summer, so the tickets are going fast now. Yes.
Okay. Their website, if you want more information, is www.durandac.org. That's all one, durandac.org, durandac.org. If you want more information, and I'm sure ticket information is up on that website as well. Again, it's Wednesday, the 21st of September at the Westin Hotel in Mount Laurel. All gets underway at 5 o'clock. It is open to the public, and the recognition event will also feature remarks by Dr. Shore about best practices in meeting the needs of people on the autism spectrum. So if you're a family affected by this in South Jersey, this might be a great event for you to go check out and to find out and to hear from him and find out more about Durand and what this organization is doing for the members of your community that really need their help. Now, I also see that in addition to what we talked about here with Tanya and the residential program, you've got a preschool program as well, correct?
That's just opening up preschool. We got approval to do a preschool, yes.
So then we are getting, it appears, if you're opening up a preschool program, then it appears that we are seeing the kids younger then.
It's always good to see. There's a need for that, and we developed a classroom for that for early, intervention and verbal, language development. So yes.
Do you want to get in there? With your residential programs, Tanya, what more would you like to see? I always say to nonprofits, and I know it's a dream, but given an unlimited amount of funding, what are some of the things that from my lips, right, the God's ears? What are some of the things you would like to see done with the residential program? Are there ways to expand that to be able to continue to help the community and put more people in there?
Well, yes. Of course, funding's always the biggest thing that we need.
Right?
It's always a challenge. But we are looking to, possibly, I know our day program services, it's easier to get that going. But we're looking to possibly we can expand to residential apartments. We can expand in ways where we can get our individuals out in the community. I would like to see more businesses, kind of open up and allow us to come in and provide work for our individuals. It's a little challenging sometimes because, they may not have the coordination the way that others do. But I would love to see businesses give us an opportunity to go in and allow our individuals to work.
Do you do, along those lines, do you do any kind of seminars or anything with those businesses to let them know what it is that you're trying to do and maybe open up some of those doors to other businesses that are out there?
Well, we haven't done any seminars right now, but we have literature that we make available to them. We go in and have individual meetings with them to discuss what our needs are and how our individuals can help their businesses. So that's basically what we do right now.
All right, Ray, the organization as a whole, if I ask you the same question, I just focused on residential programs with Tanya, but overall with Durand Inc., how do you want to continue to grow the nonprofit given the numbers that we continue to see with people on the autism spectrum with developmental disabilities? What do you want to do?
Well, certainly we want to expand our residential, our day program, and our school. We were able to purchase 11 acres of land way back, and we own 11 acres. And down the line, we would like to open up a central campus center where we could bring some of our services in the Deptford area. So that's a long-term goal of the board and myself in developing the organization. And then on a side issue, we're very active on social media. We have a thing called Faces of Durand, where you could read compelling stories about families or staff, and we get tremendous following on these vignettes on our Facebook. So if your audience has a chance, go to our Facebook and really presents a wonderful picture and story of Durand.
So they just go facebook.com/Durand,
Yeah.
and they'll be able to find that on social media. That's a big area now where it's changing for you. It's changing for all of us.
Yes.
This social media world, but it is really sometimes the most effective way to
Yes.
get out what you need to get out to people, because that's where people are looking.
Absolutely. And we have a big following, again, on social media, and we're pretty current. So you'll see some wonderful stories and great information, and really can get the feel about Durand there.
All right. Again, the Temple Grandin Award is going to be given out to Dr. Stephen Shore, and this will be presented to Dr. Shore Wednesday, September 21st at the Westin Hotel in Mount Laurel. All gets underway at 5 o'clock. It is open to the public. Tickets for the event, $25 per person. You can go to the Durand Inc. website at www.durandac.org. That's all one, DURANDAC.org. If you want more information. We also recognize that not everybody out there has internet access. You can reach them by phone, 856-845-0666, 856-845-0666, or if you want more information about the residential services, that number is 856-235-3540, 856-235-3540 if you want information about the residential services. So again, September 21st, if you're a family out there in South Jersey affected by autism or developmental disabilities with your child and you want to find out more, this event on the 21st may be a good place to start. So you may want to check that out and find out what they do. Go to their website and find out more about Durand Inc. Boy, our time goes by fast, but hopefully we've been able to touch a little bit on what Durand Inc. does and this event that's coming up on the 21st. And again, people know where to go if they want more information. Ray Cristofoletti, he is the executive director. Great to see you again. Thanks for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And Tanya Fagans, director of residential services. Great to see you this morning. Thanks for joining Ray on the program.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You've been listening to the Philadelphia Agenda. I'm your host, Brad Siegel. Thanks for listening this morning. We'll be back with another program next Sunday.